Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to Trep Talks. This is the show where I interview successful e-commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story, and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today, I'm really excited to welcome Mike Scully to the show. Mike is the founder of Lever Gear. Lever Gear designs everyday carry tools and accessories that are easy to carry and help people get things done. And today I want to ask Mike a few questions about his entrepreneurial story and some of the strategies and tactics that he has used to start grow his business. So thank you so much for joining me today at Trip Talks, Mike.
Thank you, Sushant, for having me.
So I know, Mike, that you had a design background in your, before you started the business. Can you share a little bit about yourself and what really motivated you to start this business?
Sure. Well, yeah, I had a design background in school, and I think, but even before that, as a kid, I always kind of enjoyed designing things and building stuff, and was into just sort of engineering and creating. And so I started off actually went to school for mechanical engineering, and then while I was in school, I did a co-op program at IBM, and the division I was in, we worked pretty closely with the industrial designers, and that's when I kind of found out about industrial design, and that sort of really excited me because they got to kind of make all of the early decisions and sort of really guide the actual design of the project from the start. And so I felt like that was the fun stuff. So I went back to school for industrial design, and now I kind of put those two things together to help, just develop products and go from there.
So why everyday carry? Was it really more of a design thing? You like the design of everyday carry tools? Was it more of a business decision that you saw there was business opportunity? Like why did you choose this product?
Sure. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was necessarily a conscious decision that I want to do an everyday carry business or whatever. But after college, I was a product design consultant. So I worked for consulting firms, and I would help other companies design and develop their products. So it was sort of a wide range of different products, kind of depending on who our clients were. But while I was consulting for other companies, I always had this sort of itch to develop my own products and kind of design and develop my own line of products and manufacture it and go through the whole thing and start a company around that. I didn't know it was going to be everyday carry tools. I was just sort of always looking for ideas and thinking of stuff and trying to do some of my own designs. But I had an idea for our first product, which was the tool card. And I kind of one day I was kind of doing a brainstorming thing. What can I make that's just sort of the form factor of a credit card? Because that's something that everybody carries around. It's small, it's compact, and so it was just sort of a brainstorming exercise, and came up with all kinds of ideas. A lot of them obviously turned out to be tools, and I didn't just launch that right away. It was just something I did and then forgot about it. And then a few years later, I saw a sort of a similar little product of what I was thinking of in like a gift shop, and it was just a little card tool with little tools on it and stuff. And I was kind of like, oh, that was sort of like the idea I had, but I also felt like that it was kind of neat, but like there was room for improvement, and so I kind of decided, all right, let's see what I can do. And so I felt it was a product where I could sort of add value both as a designer and as an engineer. And also, as someone that likes to build stuff, having tools and, having that kind of stuff handy really appealed to me. So, I started just doing some development work on it while I was doing my day job. And then, I got it to the point and I was like, you know what, I think this is going to be a great product to start a company with. And, it sort of ticked a lot of the boxes for just something that I could develop myself, because it was one or two parts. It was a pretty simple thing. It was something that I could bring to market myself, realistically. And so then as I did a little research, I kind of discovered this category called everyday carry, which was kind of new to me, and it was a little bit newer in general. This was around 2015, so 2014. But as I kind of dug into that, I was like, oh yeah, this is cool stuff. And there's all kinds of little tools and gadgets and things. And it's all about being prepared. It's all about having tools. It's all about, just being ready for different situations. And there's some cool design, and it's just seemed like a neat thing. So, that kind of had me sold, and I was ready to, I was like, all right, let's start a brand around this. And so that's kind of where it started.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I know there's almost like a subculture around this, like, this whole idea of being prepared for, whatever, and having your everyday carry toolkit. But that also means that, there's a lot of people, and I've seen like, I mean, as a male, as a person, I also got interested in this idea of, carrying these different tools on your person all the times. But that also means that there's probably a lot of competition in the market, right? Like if you go on Amazon, you can probably find similar products that are like people made in China, and they're selling on Amazon and things like that. Can you share a little bit about the market and the competition, and how do you really separate your everyday carry product when there's like a lot of other people also selling it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of competition. It wasn't always, I mean, there's going to be competition in any market. I feel like that's sort of viable. What I like about this market is it's kind of niche for the people that are really into everyday carry and EDC. It's almost like there's a whole range from just one-off custom products to, products that everybody would know about, like a Leatherman tool or something. Yeah. So, there's enough of a range of different tastes and different things. Where we try to fit in is, I like to focus on the design and the engineering, and sort of pick a product or a problem, and really just dig down as much as I can on the design, and try to just optimize it and make it like the best product on the market in that little category. Or sometimes just a brand new category if it's sort of like something like an invention. But so yeah, there's definitely competition from China, and where a lot of manufacturers who are set up to make this stuff anyway, they can look on Amazon, they can see what's working, and they can just copy it. So like our tool card's already that got knocked off after about a year. Our other products, I think, are a little more niche, and maybe we learned some lessons about protecting it a little bit. So that, to my knowledge, they haven't been knocked off yet. And so I think they're just sort of unique enough. And then, so yeah, there's a threat of manufacturers just going straight to market from Amazon, but that's happening in a lot of businesses, a lot of market segments. Yeah. And at least in our segment, it is niche enough and small enough that it's unlikely that Amazon would create their own Amazon Basics tool card. But so yeah, so we try to keep our products unique, and we try to really add features and innovations that aren't on the market already. So if we create a new product, it needs to have some differentiators from a design standpoint.
And it's probably not even worth like patenting some of this thing. Like,
right.
I guess this is, it may be more expensive to get this patented than to, I don't know. What do you think about? Like, would you
yeah.
ever...
So I've kind of thought about this, from different ways. Yeah, we don't have utility patents on any of our stuff. You have to, like, I looked into patenting the tool card when we first made it, but it's to patent something, it has to be really like you have to be patenting. You can't just patent an idea. It has to be a specific way of solving a problem that's not obvious and not already out there. So, you know, having something like the tool card, maybe we could have patented the way our money clip attaches to the tool card, or some feature about it, and made some claims around there. But you know, I don't know if it's worth it. I would rather focus on innovating and and keep moving forward and staying ahead of the competition. But I think there are a few little tricks you can do. My patent attorney, you know, he mentioned that an alternative option to getting a full-on utility patent. One, you can get a design patent, but that's still pretty expensive. But that will prevent. It doesn't prevent knockoffs. All it does is it gives you the ability to take them to court and you know, get them to stop selling the products. But you know, to me, that seems more like whack-a-mole. It seems like, okay, once you have a patent, then you have to pay more money to defend it. So another strategy is using trademarks. So we trademark our brand name, our product names, just so no one else can use those names and say they're, you know, pretend to be us or pretend to be the same product. And then also there's something called a layout trademark, where you can actually trademark the shape of something. So it's sort of effectively, it's like a design patent. But the kicker is, if you go to Amazon and you say, hey, this product is infringing on us, you know, we have a patent on that. They'll say, okay, well, take them to court and show us that you won the case, and we'll take it down. Whereas if you have a trademark, it sort of flips, where you just send Amazon your trademark and they basically take down the infringer, and then it's the onus is on the infringer to be like, no, we weren't violating that because of this, this, and this. So that's sort of been our strategy, is trademark our brand stuff so that people can't pretend to be us, and build brand loyalty so that people would choose us even if we are knocked off, and maybe try to get some of these layout trademarks. So if someone just copies the design, we can get them off.
So you started the business with just one product, right? So you created like a prototype of this product, and you basically went the crowdfunding route. Is that correct?
Yeah. So yep. So you know, I designed it and I developed it, and I made a series of prototypes, which is in my sort of wheelhouse, because that's what I was doing for clients before. But then you have to bring it to get it actually manufactured, where you have to buy, you know, production tooling, and you've got a minimum order quantities. It gets pretty expensive. And so, you know, the good news is, you know, crowdfunding, you know, like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, they were kind of, when we started, they were just sort of becoming more mainstream. And so it was a lot smaller then than it is now. So it was less competitive from a creator standpoint. I mean, there were less people on it, but it was easier to gain traction. I would say now you have to do a full-on like marketing campaign, I think, unless you already have like a warmed up list ready to go. So, but yeah, so crowdfunding was great for us because we were able to just we sort of tapped into all our friends and everyone we knew, and just sort of like, hey, we're launching a brand new product, and we kind of built up some excitement around that. And so we got a lot of support from our friends, and you know, we emailed everyone on our email lists and just sort of took advantage of just our connections and just said, hey, you know, here's what we're doing, you know, if you want to support us and whatever. So we had people ready to go. And then so when it launches on Kickstarter, you know, you have to hit the ground running. And if you have a really good start, then the algorithm on Kickstarter takes over, and that's when you end up with a good campaign.
So I'm assuming at that time when you launched, you still had your job and you were working full time, and this was kind of a part-time thing. Have you now like transitioned completely? Now you're full time in your business, and it's profitable enough for you that it's a full-time living and everything.
Yeah. So it's yeah. When we started, I was still doing consulting, and but I had my own little consulting business at that point. So I kind of controlled my time and my hours. So it worked out well because I could do the consulting hours, and then if I had some extra time, I could work on this project. But yeah, now I'm full time with Lever Gear, and we've ranged from having like one employee to a few employees, and so yeah, it's full time. We're making a go at it, and yeah, we're at the point where I can make a living with it. It's nothing huge, but the foundation is there for growth, I feel like. So we're going on 6 years now, so it's been a long journey, and it hasn't been easy, but I'm viewing this as a long-term project, so trying to, like I said, build the foundation and then really kind of try to scale it.
So when you started with Kickstarter, I mean, the benefit of Kickstarter is that, it gives you the initial traction. It gives you, like, if your idea has a demand in the market, other, people like it, you get those initial set of customers to work with. How do you go from that, list of customers to really going, acquiring new customers from there? How do you share the value proposition of your product so that other people that are outside of Kickstarter come to know about your product and start buying it? Can you share a little bit about that, how you did that at the beginning?
Sure. At the beginning, so we launched that in the spring of 2016. Yeah, we had a good Kickstarter run. I think between Kickstarter and Indiegogo, we raised about $100,000 in pre-sale. So that got us going. That enabled us to buy the tooling and our first orders. At the time, there was, it was a little newer, and there were a lot of creators on like YouTube who would kind of like, scout out Kickstarter and find cool new inventions. They would make these mashups, and so like we're getting a bunch of just random creators making videos about our product, adding it to cool new gadgets projects, or videos and that kind of stuff. We also sort of influencer marketing was pretty new then as well, so it was more like, if an influencer kind of discovered your product and liked it, they might post something, and so we got some sales that way, just randomly. We had some, where we would send products to influencers, and they would just do a post about it. So when we started, it was a little bit easier, I would say. Whereas, now it's if you want to get influencers involved, you got to pay them either upfront or pay them a commission. And if, like I said, if you want to launch a Kickstarter campaign cold and you don't have an audience already, you have to put marketing behind it and do all that. So, every year, e-commerce gets a little more and more competitive. And so I think the key is to try to adapt and do what is sort of becoming the new thing that people aren't like flocking into yet. So I'm not sure what that is right now. For us, since we already have a customer list and an email list and an audience and some relationships with influencers, we can kind of get that when we launch a new product, we have a sort of an existing customer base, so it makes it easier. Another thing though, for people trying to launch a product, we use both our website and we sell on Amazon. And the nice thing is with Amazon is it brings you the customers. You give up margin, and you give up, sort of their Amazon considers those people their customers, but they get eyeballs to your product, and they get, you can advertise profitably, and you can get a lot of just sales that way organically, and through advertising. So even if you don't have an audience, Amazon has the audience, has the buyers, and so if people are searching for stuff, if they're searching for your product, they can find it.
And I mean, Amazon, a lot of the times people have like this love-hate relationship with Amazon, right? So, you know,
Oh, I'm one of them.
of course. Okay. Yeah, I think most businesses have that, because, you know, on the one hand, of course, you know, you get sales from there, but then there's also a lot of negative things. You know, they take your profit margins. They, you know, they may create a duplicate product. There's like sellers from China who can easily copy your product. All these different things.
Yeah.
But I think one good thing about your product is that in terms of size, it's kind of small. So I think, do you really think that that's kind of a positive for you, where it helps you in terms of your, you know, warehousing and fulfillment
Right.
and shipping
Yeah.
side of things?
That was, yeah, well, that was one of the criteria when I was like trying to find a product that I wanted to start my business with. I had, you know, several criteria, and I wanted something that was going to be small and easy to warehouse and easy to ship, because I knew it was probably going to be e-commerce, so there'd be a lot of shipping involved, and I wanted something that, you know, wasn't going to expire. So that's kind of, you know, that was sort of intentional in that regard. So it's nice that our niche, our market, everyday carry, is pretty small stuff generally. So
where do you
yeah,
do you warehouse it yourself? Do you have like do you work with a third party fulfillment company?
we warehouse it ourselves, and we also use FBA, which is fulfillment by Amazon. So their warehousing and their fulfillment is great. It's inexpensive. And
Is it less expensive than warehousing yourself, or have you done
well, the warehousing part of it, maybe because our products are so small, is negligible part of our Amazon business.
Okay.
Their fulfillments by Amazon, you know, like it's about the same as if we were to ship it ourselves, you know, and they handle warehousing, shipping, returns, you know, some customer service, that kind of stuff. You know, that part of it, the pricing is very reasonable for that. So and it's easier too, because we can just, you know, ship one big box to Amazon, and then they can handle, you know, lots of customers each day. Whereas from our website, we don't, you know, our traffic isn't as much, and but we can handle shipping orders from our website and some other drop ship, you know, partnerships that we have. But for Amazon, which probably has the most volume, you know, it makes it easier for us to just ship them a big box and let them handle it.
Can you share a little bit about, or talk about your approach of marketing this kind of a product? Are you, is it really a paid advertising play for you, or you know, are you getting more traffic from a different channel, organic, social media?
Yeah, I would say it's not a paid advertising thing for us. We've been trying to do it for 5 years, and 5 years ago it was a lot easier to do. You know, we threw up some ads on Pinterest, and we were getting, you know, just rent, you know, just throwing some stuff up there, and we would get 10 times ROI. Nowadays, you know, you really gotta do everything right, and have it really finely tuned to you know, get a break-even positive ROI. So I haven't focused on that, because you can end up throwing a lot of money into advertising and whatever. You know, right now we're pretty a little bit scaled back and streamlined, where I let Amazon do a lot of our marketing, and I can advertise easily and effectively on Amazon, so that's a big part of it. But we also have an influencer program where it's commission based. So we use a platform on our website, and, you know, basically if we sign on with an influencer that we find on YouTube or Pinterest or whatever it might be, or Instagram, you know, we kind of send them some products, and we say, you know, do whatever you want, do what you think your audience will like. And any customers you bring us, we'll give you a cut, and it all happens automatically. And if that customer turns into a repeat buyer, they keep getting their commission, you know, whatever. So we like that approach, because we're only spending money if we're making money. And also, if an influencer is very effective for us, we want them to get paid as well. So,
yeah, I think, yeah, a lot of YouTube channels that focus on this kind of a niche, this kind of a market. I mean, they have huge audiences, they're very engaged audiences, at least what I find. And some of these YouTubers, I also see that they have their own, like they've created their own brands, and I assume they're very successful because, you know, they have an engaged audience and they can easily sell to them.
yeah.
Have you ever tried, like, you know, going that approach where you become kind of the face and you,
Right.
it's almost like you're selling the lifestyle first,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. No, it's a good strategy. I haven't really done that. You know, but coming from a design background, an engineering background, I like to be heads down and kind of designing stuff. And so the marketing stuff and the sales stuff, you know, it's not, it doesn't come naturally to me. And you know, I haven't made that as much of a focus as I should have and need to. And so that's something that I'm working on personally. But for a while we had a YouTube channel, or we have a YouTube channel, but we were putting out a video maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks, me and another guy who was working with me. And so people go to Lever Gear just search for Lever Gear on YouTube and find our channel, where we would do reviews of EDC products, and you know, and they were kind of funny and lighthearted, and you know, we just sort of, I was sort of looking at it from a design perspective, you know, what it's, you know, kind of what my perspective might be as a designer. And so we got some good traction with that. And, but, you know, he left the company, and then, so it kind of fizzled out. But, you know, at some point, maybe I'll try to start that back up again, because it was, you know, the thing with YouTube, and which I really like, and, maybe Pinterest, or, you know, these channels where you're building content, and then it becomes an asset, because it sort of builds on itself, and the growth, you know, is sort of exponential. So it starts out really slow, but if you stick with it, and you keep putting out content, and you're consistent, and it's good, then you'll get more and more followers, and then it starts to get exponential. And that was starting to happen to us. And unfortunately, like I said, it fizzled out. But we still have, you know, we still get a decent number of views. And I mean, even, you know, I get like $100 from Google every couple months.
Wow.
Just for, you know, from our old videos. So, but yeah, I think that's another marketing channel where, especially if for small businesses, if you don't have a lot of money to start out, you know, create content. And for me, like, you know, I'm an introvert. I've always been kind of camera shy, but I sort of forced myself to get used to it, and now I'm comfortable doing it. So it's just a matter of just working at it, being consistent. And if, like I said, if you've got more time than money, and you can create, you know, some compelling or interesting or funny or whatever kind of videos, people will watch the content, and you'll build your audience that you can then sell to in the future.
Yeah. So is the EDC really a North America thing? Like this whole idea of everyday carry, like are you selling just in US? Are you selling in Canada?
We're selling all over the place.
Okay. Is there a demand elsewhere?
I think we've sold to like 100 different countries.
And there is demand, like there's big demand in other countries, in Europe.
Yeah, there's a lot of demand. You know, like I'll have to check, but you know, with Kickstarter helps too, because Kickstarter is in some of the other countries. But you know, even on our website, you know, we get orders from all over the place. And we're on Amazon Europe and UK and Japan and Australia, Singapore. So, you know, there's I mean, obviously those are smaller, but you know, there's still some demand from all over the place.
What what are the biggest challenges of selling internationally? Is it for you, is it really
Yeah.
just the shipping aspect of it, that if you're shipping to Singapore, the customer is just going to get the package and it's going to take more time for the package to get to them? Is that really the big
Right.
issue, or is it that there may be duties and taxes that they may have to pay?
Yeah, I think it's more that, like, with like I said, we've shipped to probably 100 different countries, and it's not a big deal. If we use USPS, they'll transfer it to their local postal service, and generally it's not that expensive, but it can take, like, depending on where you are, if it's somewhere in Europe, it might be 2 weeks. If it's somewhere, in a less developed country, it might be 4 or 5 weeks. So then you have to deal with, okay, the customer is like, when am I going to get my thing? But we also use FedEx International, and that's it's more expensive than shipping it in the US, but it's not unreasonable for a customer to do it. And then they just fly it over there, so it doesn't, it takes a week maybe. So, but yeah, with the duties, the thing for me is it's always kind of changing, and we're a small business. I hate having to keep track of all that and keep up with it. And like, to sell on Amazon, even in Europe, we had to get VAT numbers for every country, and so you have to, which is their value added tax. So you have to have an account in every country, and then we have to have an accountant over there that manages all this and signed us up for it, and it just takes time, and it just takes a lot of effort, and then you got to build that into your pricing, so your prices are higher. So there's a lot of I don't know, sand in the gears when you start going international.
So
depending on the country, some countries you just ship it and they don't care.
Okay, but you haven't ever thought about, like, selling on Amazon in, like, a different country, like, having your products in Amazon UK or something like that, where?
No, they are in Amazon.
Oh, they are.
UK.
Okay.
Yeah, we manage all that right now, which is why we had to get all the VAT numbers. So, and Amazon has a program called Pan-European, where you can send it to one warehouse and they'll sort of distribute it throughout Europe.
Okay.
So they do a lot of that for you, but it's still kind of a pain in the butt for the amount of sales we get. But it's like you kind of have to do it. But one thing I've been thinking about lately is I've been looking into finding like an Amazon seller expert in Europe who can translate the listings when they're sort of local language, but local like voice, right? And just like what I would like to do is have a distributor, Amazon distributor in Europe, that we send them a package once a month or once every couple weeks, and then they sell it on Amazon. We don't we don't touch it. But
basically you're selling them wholesale, and then
wholesale, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What about payment side of things? Because if you're selling in other countries, I'm assuming you're accepting, it's a different currency you're receiving, right? And then you probably have to convert that to US dollars.
We don't. We just, on our website, we have a Stripe account for credit cards, and we have PayPal, and we have
but when you're
while we had Amazon Pay, we had Amazon Pay. I think we still have it, but I haven't seen as much activity from that. But whoever your processor is, they convert all of the currency, and it just I don't really look at it. I don't get that granular with it.
But you probably do lose some money in the conversion process, right?
Yeah, probably. Definitely. I don't know what it is.
Okay. What have you ever tried going retail? Is that I guess that could be a risky proposition also. But have you ever tried going, like, selling in retail?
Yeah, we do. That has not really been a focus of ours. But more recently we've started getting into it, and both there's online retailers, so you can just sell like wholesale to someone that has their own website, or or even just a drop shipper. So there's ways to do that. But also now we're getting into some brick and mortar stores, and which for a while I was, I didn't really want to focus on it because the margins aren't as good, and I don't want to just be cranking out volume just to get more sales for a little bit of margin. That's not kind of the business I want. But when you factor in all the other things, advertising and managing it all, it's kind of nice to have a wholesale partner that just orders once every couple of months, and you ship them a box, and then you get your money, and they sell your product. So we're starting to do more of that, and I'd like to do more of that. So
cool.
Yeah, it's all part of it. I feel like nowadays you kind of have to get into all of these different. I would say when you're starting, focus on one area, but one way to grow is to get into a new channel and do that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a challenge right now to grow internationally. Just as you're saying, you would much rather want to find a distributor somewhere, you just ship it to them, and they take care of the rest. And I don't think there's there's a simple way for not just one business but any business to do something like that. I think there's a lot of challenges in growing internationally, going into international markets. Where do you manufacture your product? Is it manufactured in China?
It's mixed. Our tool card is made in America, and it's actually made locally. So there's several manufacturers that we use kind of around where we live and get that done. The bit vault and the cable kit are both made in China. And so we've got a good partner in China. But the tariffs that like last year, Trump had instituted those tariffs, and they kind of took a while to go into effect. So when we first started selling, we weren't paying the tariffs. And then more recent orders, I get the shipping, and it's like 25% on top of our costs. Wow. So that was a real that obviously changes our cost structure completely. So now it was always kind of it's a question mark. Is it going to stick around? Will it go away? There's uncertainty around it. So it's hard to tell, but you have to build that in. And now, the shipping costs are higher. So it's definitely gotten much more expensive to manufacture in China in particular, because I think the tariffs mainly apply to them. But just in general with shipping times and costs, those are going up. So it's something that you really have to factor in when you're kind of deciding where to manufacture stuff, I think.
Now, in every entrepreneur's journey, there's always, mistakes made, failures, lessons learned. Would you be able to, look at the last 5 years, 6 years since you started your business? What are one or two big mistakes that really, come up for you, and what can other entrepreneurs learn from those mistakes?
Right. Well, yes, I've had my share of mistakes, and it's definitely been growing pains and a lot of learning experience. That to me, as you said, the mistakes are inevitable, and no matter how smart you think you are, you're going to make mistakes. There's things are going to happen. The most important thing is that you learn from them, and don't do them again. And ideally, you want to learn from other people's mistakes. So if you hear other people telling their stories, listen up so you don't make the same mistakes. But in general, I think my mistake was not focusing on sales and marketing and really trying to grow that before growing the company. And so I like I said, with my design and engineering background, I'm focused on the design. I want to make cool products. I want to get, a team in place. I want to like build this foundation, but I wasn't focusing on growing, the most important part of the business, which is growing your sales. because if you don't have sales, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So in general, that's sort of something that was, and also just not being fully aware of my numbers and the implications of all the numbers. So like I said, before this, I was a product design consultant and I was working for myself. And if I had a design project and I billed the client $10,000, I would basically get $10,000 in my bank account.
Yeah.
Whereas the structure of a product business, it's completely different. You get $10,000 in sales, you're like, all right, great, and then maybe you've made a profit in your bank account.
Yeah.
So it's getting, really understanding those numbers. And I think it just took me, like, I understood the numbers. I knew sort of what it was, but I never really understood, the situation that our company was in. So I kind of dug myself a pretty big hole. And the specific mistake that was our biggest mistake was basically biting off more than we could chew. Which is what got me into that hole. But so for our tool card, we launched it on Kickstarter. We had good success. It was going well. We were growing. I hired some employees, to help kind of manage that growth and grow it even more. I probably hired a little faster than I should. And so we were growing, but not as fast as we needed to grow with the employees. But then for our second product, we came out with something called the Bit Vault, and we were doing a Kickstarter for that. And since now we had a marketing list to market to, we had we'd already done Kickstarter before. We knew what we were doing. The platform was growing. I was sort of anticipating a little more of an improvement from our first campaign. And we actually launched 2 products at the same time. One was the Bit Vault, which is it's a waterproof carry case. That can also, can hold hex bits in it, and you can turn it into a screwdriver. So it's a little EDC sort of portable screwdriver that can also hold any kind of small items. But it was a pretty complicated product because there was, there's maybe 10 or 12 parts, different kind of parts that go into it, between, aluminum and plastic and die cast metal and silicon rubber gaskets and spring metal clips and all these things, and then the whole manufacturing. So that was a pretty complex product with a lot of tooling. But at the same time, I was trying to create a similar product called a Bit Light, which was the same thing, but it also included a flashlight in it. And so I'm sitting here trying to develop these 2 products because I was specifically kind of thinking about our Kickstarter launch and giving our customers, 2 options, and there was some overlap in the tooling, so I could save money that way. So, but to develop the Bit Light, I had to hire an electrical engineer, and there's all this certification with UL testing and that kind of stuff. It was a very complex and expensive and time-consuming development process that really just took up a lot of my time. And then as we were developing it, the LED technology for these flashlights kept sort of bumping up. And then there was a lot of these little EDC everyday carry flashlights that were coming out at the time, which were just much better than what we were going to be coming out with. So we were going to be launching an inferior product, and we actually had to, because of the development costs and what it was going to cost to bring it to market, and the fact that I was going to have to redesign it to at least be competitive with these other products, we couldn't do it. So I had to basically email all our Kickstarter backers who had backed this project and say, hey, we can't launch this product. So, I gave people the option that they could either switch and get a Bit Vault, or we would give them a refund. So we ended up having to refund a lot of money, and we spent a ton of money and time trying to develop this product that never materialized. So that's what really dug me into a hole. And we've kind of clawed our way out of it, but that was a learning. That was definitely the biggest lesson. Is just you got to sort of stay within yourself and grow within your means.
I mean, that's very interesting. So if other people are coming up with more superior products, is it that, I mean, is a better approach to just, as an entrepreneur, you focus on the business and maybe hire a designer who can, you give them the big specifications and they come up with the design of the product? Like how do these other
Well,
people come up with better design products?
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it depends on your, your skill set or what you want to do. Like, so my core competency is design and engineering. So, but if someone was more of a business person and, you can hire a designer, you can hire a consulting firm, you can bring someone in-house to do it. In many cases, the manufacturers themselves have their own design team. So you just work with the manufacturer. Because depending on the product, if it's a complicated part or it's something specific, if say it's like a die cast part that's pretty tricky, that die casting manufacturer is going to know more about the intricacies of die casting than any designer would. So you have to work closely with them, and in many cases, depending on the manufacturer, they may even just help you design it for free, so that they can get the business. But no, in terms of that particular product, it was a question of, the technology was just changing fast, and sort of the way the form factor of our product was, I was using these sort of bulb LEDs, the old school LEDs, and there were some very bright ones. So we could get a good flashlight, but literally like right at that time, all these little surface mount, really powerful, bright LEDs came out. And it was just like, I would have had to redesign the whole thing to use one of those, but the way the shape of the product was, it would have been very hard to retrofit it. So that was kind of, I don't know, it was
bad timing.
yeah, it was bad timing. Maybe I probably could have seen it coming, but I didn't know how fast things were evolving. And that's the other thing when you're doing a small business, there's so many aspects of the business that you have to try to manage. You have to decide what you need to outsource and what you can focus on, and just tracking it all gets very complicated.
So now we're going to move on to our rapid fire round. And in this round, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions and you have to answer them in 1 word or 2 words. Okay. So the first one is one book that you would recommend to entrepreneurs or business professionals in 2022 and why?
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that you're gonna ask me about this.
Any book that comes to mind. It doesn't have to be a business book.
I don't know. We read Start With Why, which I think is a good, just a broad book about what's the purpose behind your company, and then if you build around a purpose and you have an audience that believes in that, then that's where you can really kind of shine. A book I'm reading, or I'm planning to read, I haven't started it yet, but I ordered it, is called Rocket Fuel. Okay. And it talks about the partnership between sort of the visionary and the implementer, and how a lot of the most successful companies in the world, started having both a visionary and an implementer as a team, because they're 2 very different skill sets. But if you combine those, it really, that's why they call it rocket fuel. It really helps your business take off. So I know for me, I'm very high on the visionary side, and as a single business owner with a couple employees, I'm a reluctant implementer. So at some point, I want to get to the point where I can have someone that I trust to really implement all of our all my crazy ideas.
Cool. And
how's that for 1 word answer?
Totally fine. An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about? Innovative product or idea.
Yeah, there's 2. I like the trend, or I don't know if it's a trend, but like using platforms instead of necessarily specific software or whatever. So I've been looking, our tech stack has kind of been a pain point for me, like trying to find the right combination of softwares and things that interact together. And you got one software that talks with this one, but not this one. And how do you stack them all up? And I've been looking for some funnels for my website. But I think we're at a good point now where I like where we're at, where we have, we use WooCommerce and through WordPress. And, but we have a new thing called WooFunnels, which allows us to build funnels for our store, which I think is something that we've been missing. I mentioned our influencer program. All that is a plugin on our website, and where we can, the influencers become users, and then, they get credit when they send people with their link, and it's just a plugin that tracks it all. I'm having a call tomorrow with an ads company. They're not like I said, I've been frustrated with paid ads, whether it's Facebook or Google or any of that, just because there's so much to learn. It's expensive. You can throw a lot of money at it without being profitable. But the call I'm having tomorrow is a company, and they have a platform, basically, which it simplifies the ad creation process, and then it automatically sends it out to all kinds of different channels, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Google. And so it's like a platform where you sort of you kind of build your creative in there, and they simplify it and streamline it, and then they kind of, their AI system takes care of the rest. So
okay,
that's a big one for me. I'm trying to simplify things, and and the nice thing I like about the platforms, and even Amazon itself is a platform, right? So, but the things I like about it is that, I've looked into, we've tried to do Facebook ads, for example, and it's been we haven't been able to do it profitably, partly because we're not experts. But then I look into hiring experts, and by the time they get their commission, it makes it even harder to be profitable, right? Because it's like, okay, now the consulting firm is getting paid, but we're the last ones to get paid. So anyway, we'll see what this is about, but that's kind of the trend where we're going.
Very, very interesting. A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
All right. I don't know. We use G Suite, and I really like that, just because the simplicity of it, but their spreadsheets, their word processor, the email, it just sort of integrates. I like to kind of keep it simple. They have storage. We also use Dropbox for storage and file sharing. So I don't know. Those are two that pop into my head right now.
Cool. Final question: best business advice you have ever received, or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
I would, for me, it's focus on sales first. Get your sales, and then the rest will follow. And that maybe that's specific to me because it's not a natural thing for me. But another just rule of thumb is everything's going to take twice as long and be twice as expensive as you think. So budget that in.
Definitely.
That's if all goes well.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for joining us today. If people want to buy your products, how can they do that? If anyone wants to get in touch, how can they do that? This is your time to plug your products.
Yeah, they can go to levergear.com, and they can see our, we have three main products. As I mentioned, there's the tool card, there's the cable kit, which is just a little portable USB charging cable. We've got one for the iPhone and for USB-C devices. And they come with little adapters. Then there's the Bit Vault that I mentioned, which is a little waterproof carry case and screwdriver. So, cool little unique products that are good gifts. And we can personalize them as well. so yeah, check out levergear.com. And if they, if they want to get a hold of me, they can send an email to support@levergear.com and it'll get to me.
Perfect.
Or we've got a contact page on our website. So
perfect. Thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciated learning about your startup story. Thank you for sharing all your lessons and learnings and challenges that you went through in starting and growing your business, and all the strategies and tactics that you use to grow your business. So really appreciate your time today, and thank you for joining us today at Trep Talks.
sure. Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Okay.
I will stop recording.